I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. For roll call, we have everybody here. Executive sessions. There was an informal presentation that was held on March 7th on the 2023 and 24 budget. Do I have to announce when we're going to have something after this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so after this meeting, the board will be meeting for personnel as well. All right, we're going to move on to public comment. Do we have public comment on action items for today? I have one, but I think this is for afterwards.
Correct.
All right. Anything for action items for now? Do we have anything online? All right, so we're going to move on to the Western Center budget presentation.
All right, so good evening. I'm Dave Livingood. I'm the Administrative Director at the Western Center. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm on a tour right now for all the districts to go and present the budget, give you a little background about the Western Center and where we're at today. So with that, thank you for having me tonight. So go ahead. So who we are, Western Center, we were established in 64, well 68 if you look at the timeline. But it's law, school code to have career and technical education. So we have an administrative team of 4. Myself, Miss Wilson could not be here tonight. She had a family emergency, but I have the building principal, Mark Holtzman, here with me, and then also Chad Hefner, our facilities manager. So that's the administration team. We have 22 CTE teachers, 3 student success coordinators, which are IEP teachers that work with each district specifically for those students. 5 paraprofessionals, 2 part-time paraprofessionals. That's in cosmetology in our early childhood education program. 2 counselors, 1 co-op coordinator, and 3 custodians. That's the makeup of our building. It's under 154,000 square feet is the building itself. Sorry. Most importantly, I forgot this. Beginning of the year, we had 728 students enrolled. Current student enrollment, 645. So that was an increase from the previous years. We're a 4-year model, so 9 through 12, and AM, PM sessions. So we look at our mission, and I think this was shared with you. I'm not to read verbatim, but our mission and vision is very important to us. To prepare quality citizens for lifelong productivity in challenging world by forming innovative partnerships among family, school, and community. That's what CTE is about. We live and breathe that every day. We have great community partners. Our kids are going out and get into the workforce in this area and staying local to work. Next. So this year we had a comprehensive plan due, and our 3 basic pillars that we're standing on and moving forward here for the next couple of years. We want to increase our co-op numbers. So the students currently out, we have 55, I believe, out right now on co-op within the local area. And those students are, and we'll discuss that, but those students are earning real life wages and they're impacting businesses. And we found that majority of those kids on co-op are staying with that employer when they graduate. So that's a big benefit. Second pillar is that we have to determine the best option. And it started, I think, out of Pottsgrove, where we're talking about the students not getting in or looking at the expansion of programs, looking at what we can do to get more students in CTE. So over the next 3 years, that's to be one of our pillars to determine how we can move forward in this market. And the third pillar, every kid needs to graduate to Western Center with a job, college, or military. Last year at our awards ceremony, I had students stand up, and it's pretty shocking to see that 75% of them had a job lined up when they were leaving, and only 2 did not have a plan out of 170-some students. So they are going in industry, which is what we want. So we have 17 programs, and if we add biomedical, we have 18. I'm not to read all the programs, but every program is highly enrolled, according to the state. Every program on there is high wage in demand jobs. So that's a requirement from PDE to look at programs, that have high wage paying jobs and high job placement. And if you have any questions as I go through, please interrupt. I'm fine with that. So this information, this snapshot, this is where we're at right now as a school. This information, how it's laid out, it says disabled, that's IEP students. That's how I had to report it to the state for our federal Perkins dollars. So I left our charts in there, how we report it to our stakeholders, which are about 50 people we meet twice a year with to discuss our data. So 645 students, 30% IEP students, 20% economically disadvantaged. Our non-trad numbers are actually really great. Comparatively around the state, we're at 12%. And our English learner population is growing. If we look at the past, it's went up. I mean, it's only 1% growth, but that 1% 2 years ago was like 0.1%. So this year we've seen an influx of that. These are our trends, and it's listed by programs. So if you look at how many kids are enrolled in each program, and it breaks it down by male, female, so on. That's just a more drill down of that. I'll point out cosmetology is one of our most popular programs. They have only 4 males in that program. Where we look at a program like protective services, which is a male-dominated field, we have 28 female students in that program. So that's really helping our non-traditional numbers look so good. In our diesel program, we have 9 females in our diesel program, and they're rocking it. They're doing an amazing job, and that's just, growth in that industry. And when we have employers come in and say, I have 9 female diesel techs, they're pretty impressed with that. So, and then with our sports medicine, that is a female oriented job. So our male students are carrying that non-trad label in there and have 14 males in that program. So Mr. Holtzman's going to talk about our application numbers.
So our application deadline was March 15th. What's that?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. And, we saw a little bit of an increase in the last week here with applications rolling in. Some of the data, our total up to date is 366 applications. Some of the data I'm going to share with you were numbers we pulled from last Wednesday. But as far as Pottsgrove goes, you have 116 applications in. And when you look at your class, your total 8th grade class, it's about 25.6% of your 8th grade class that's applying out to our school. When you look at your total applications of those 116, that roughly accounts for 58% of those applications being in 8th grade. That's up from last year. Last year you had about 90, or you had 96 applied last year. So I think one of the major changes that was done this year, which I think was a great move, was the tours coming out to our school. It was an opt-out instead of an opt-in, so everyone got an opportunity to see our school, and I think that's kind of why we're seeing a lot of increased numbers coming in.
So with applications, the other key component, being a 4-year school, if you're applying in ninth grade, the likelihood of you getting in is slim to none. In most programs. There are some programs, if you apply in ninth grade, you come in 10th grade, you will get in because the seats aren't full. But with our cohort models moving through, say cosmetology, if you're not applying in eighth grade, you're not going to get in ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. It's not going to happen because we have 53 applicants for that program and only 20 seats available. So, you know, and that's majority of these programs here. So eighth grade, and we've been hitting that hard at every district, that eighth grade is when you have to apply. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so some other stats we have. So we have 32% of our students that are seniors that are participating in co-op. You know, if you look at some numbers wise, that the students have earned over $360,000 with those skills that they've mastered. And I know that salary isn't everything, but I think it's showing mastery in their trade. So they're able to go out and get these positions and leverage the skills that they've learned to earn a decent wage. You know, our NOCTI score is 94%. NOCTI is our end of program assessment, and it's an assessment that judges you know, how well you are competent within the tasks, within the programs. So we're at 94% of our students earning advanced or are competent in those. And then our certifications. 1,500 certifications, over 1,500 certifications last year is what we earned. We're on track to be about the same this year.
So those certifications come from OSHA certification. Every student is OSHA certified, OSHA 10 certified when they walk out our doors. It could be for ASE, which is automotive accreditation, Platinum I-CAR school, so for collision repair, they're getting those Platinum I-CAR certifications. So my goal is to get more certifications, and I shouldn't say this for on board, but NOCTI is one test. Certifications are meaningful to industry. So I want to see certifications go up because I'm saving companies money by getting them certified at our school. And they're to continue to come back to us to get our students.
Just real quick, I just want to say too, if you could touch on the cosmetology, how some of these students come out with their state certifications and they go right into the field.
Yeah, so cosmetology is a state licensed program, licensure program. So with that program being a four-year school, what we have seen that our students that are seniors, by mid-year, senior year, and some at the start of their senior year, they are licensed cosmetologists. That means they have 1,250 hours completed, and they took the state exam and passed it. So right now, I think we currently have 5 licensed cosmetologists in our school, which is tremendous.
And I just want to touch on those hours worked. If you look at those hours on the screen, those are hours that these students are not only earning, but they are continually learning and developing those skills. I think that's important to see how many hours they're actually participating out there in for those co-op.
All right, so I put this before I got into the budget because I think you guys need to know some of the good stuff and where the money's coming from, right? So since I took over in January last year, this is from when that is from. So we had a $200 workforce grant from Senator Mensch. That was there. We realigned that, and that helped us remodel our culinary kitchen, which is all brand-new equipment, Vulcan equipment. If you know anything about culinary, Vulcan's the top of the line. So that's about $130,000 of that $200,000. So money that is not coming out of budget through the grant. ESSER funding, we had the ESSER funding like all the school districts did. We had $379,000. Now is all the safety upgrades. Safety gates for our garage doors, almost like the mall grills that go up and down. We put those on our garage doors that are not fenced in. So we have security of our building. We updated our camera system, and we also updated our PA bell system. So some of the systems were antiquated, couldn't find parts for them. So we used that ESSER dollars to make those facility upgrades. Just Mere Foundation is a foundation out of Westchester. If you guys are familiar with Scott Bentley here in Pottstown, this is a family member of Scott Bentley's. $50,000 she's given us this year for cosmetology and the welding programs. The competitive equipment grant, we received that this year as well. 50,000, that's a matching grant, 50,000 from the state, 50,000 from our budget, which we budget into yearly. That is going for a Hunter alignment rack, 4-post alignment rack in our diesel program. That has now put us in play with Hunter Engineering, probably the best in the automotive industry for their equipment. We are becoming a heavy-duty training center for Hunter. And in return for our space for 4 days a quarter, they give us about $70,000 worth of equipment yearly, brand new every year to maintain in that program. They put it in, we use it, and they use it. So return on investment through that grant is already there. We had an auction this summer, if you guys didn't hear that. We had a, I know, that's why I said that, but, you know, that auction, when we came in, there was a lot of equipment sitting around. We profited $120,000 from that auction, just with old equipment, tractor trailer and stuff, junk, really, that was not useful to us, and we have taken that money and we've been able to use it to fix things in our building. On Friday, we have a $9,000 check coming from Martin's Stone Quarries for our welding program for tools, hand tools. We had 2 semi-trucks donated. Semi-trucks aren't cheap, but we have 2 that were donated by a company in Ole. We had 1 fire truck donated this year from Pottstown Hook and Ladder, so that's for our protective services. Broccolente, every year, Broccolente is a manufacturing company up north. They give us $5,000 every year for our advanced manufacturing program, and every couple years they give us $10,000. So it's just on a rotation. Gene Hosh Foundation, our instructor wrote a grant for them, and we received $10,000 for them for advanced manufacturing. And then the last line item, the COVID health, public health workforce supplemental funding grant. It's a mouthful. This was only for CTE. We applied. We received $144,000 for it, and that is for nursing supplies. So we bought all brand new radios for communication with our nurse in the building, first aid, stop the bleed, kits, AEDs. So the money was, I put that on there because it's money that was not in our budget, and we were able to use it to make upgrades to our programs. All right, so what have you guys all been waiting for, the 2023-24 budget? So we developed this through the year. You know, we look at all of our programming. We ask the teachers. You can go ahead. So we look at the history of where we've been and where we're going, and what we have spent over the last couple of years. Our enrollment over the last 2 years has gone up. We went up over 100 kids last year into the building. So that's a big change. And when you're talking about metal, wood, culinary alone, and the food prices, all the materials have gone up in our supply budgets. So we ask the teachers for what their wish lists are, and then we go to look at the administrators, work with the business managers and the superintendents. So this was already shared with the superintendents and business managers. I've also shared it with the JOC last Monday. So we look at supplies, textbooks, software, and equipment. Those are the big things. 75% of our budget is fixed cost with our benefits and salaries. So we review the request and then keep going through. I will tell you that my first initial number to Dr. Finity was about 15% because everything that the teacher gave us, I put it in the budget, right? So I'm a dreamer. And if you don't ask, you don't receive. So I put it in, and we've cut it back drastically from that first initial. So some of the highlights in our budget. And, you know, next year we host our Skills USA district competition. This is something that comes back to us every 12 years. So for the next 2 years, we will host that skills competition at our school. That 50,000 is a number that was used by Delaware CTC this past 2 years, and that's to buy the material needed for the competition and everything associated with that competition. So that's one thing that was different in this budget versus last year. So Skills USA is, do you have DECA or FBLA here? DECA, you have DECA. So DECA is one club, right? Skills overlooks all of our CTE programs, and everyone competes in those competitions. So it's sort of like DECA, FCCLA, FFA. It's one of the CTSOs. So that's what Skills USA is. And we have the district. Our district consists of 6 schools. So all the schools in Montgomery County, and then 3 in Bucks County, and then Delaware. And Chester Upland is in our district as well. So it's a hard competition to win, and only the first place winners from districts go to states. So this year, Western Center has 11 students going to the states in the skills competition. Yeah. So our Peasers retirement decreased. We had a couple people retire, a couple older instructors that left. So we did see a decrease in our Peasers, and also hiring the new teachers. The pension system's different, so we're not paying as much in as previous. 7% increase to our health insurance. 50,000 more of our building maintenance equipment. If a machine breaks for our maintenance department, we don't have any reserve money in there for them to buy a floor machine or fix anything that's in that our maintenance department. And then we have a $100,000 increase to our building maintenance cost, and I will come back to that. And $85,000 in our IT. So the $100,000 in maintenance, right now we're operating on $110,000 maintenance budget for our building. So this year, luckily, we had a rollover of cash from a house fund project and the auction money to cover us. So on April 6th, our main water line in our building was leaking. The gate valve was leaking. If we didn't have that supply money, there's no way we could have fixed that, and we would have been coming back for the districts to fix that cost. If one of our chillers goes out, or boilers go down, pump goes down, all of that comes out of our maintenance budget. So we don't have a large overall facility maintenance budget. So that is where we're asking for that increase.
And just to add, that money, we would have to go back to each 3 school districts, would have to go back to pay for anything we would need.
Yes, yes. So if we're over budget in some of these capital projects or capital funds, I'd have to find out a way to take it back to the districts to pay. So this is helping us have not a security blanket, because I think you guys all seen the cost of materials going up, and we're seeing that as well. So this will help us secure some of that. And then the $85,000 in IT, last year we made a shift, not replacing our IT director, and we have contracted with IU. So with that, there was a cost savings. But this year, we need to replace all of our teacher laptops that are 6 years old. Those laptops that the teachers have will go back then into our computer information science program, and those students will use those laptops and get rid of the desktops. And then this is not a new line item, but I do like to point it out. Last year, we started implementing a 6-program rotation of $30,000 of equipment. Next year, that's slated is HVAC, advanced manufacturing, protective services, early childhood education, and dental assistant, as well as cosmetology. Those programs will see a $30,000 influx in equipment, which now lets us stay ahead of the game and at an industry standard. So when we're talking hand tools, such as drills, saws, and I'll just use construction, we got rid of all cords, because that's not an industry anymore. So we're all battery powered now in our carpentry shop. And we're talking HVAC, that $30,000 they'll put in sheet metal prep station to teach the kids how to prepare duct work, right? So that money is money that a grant would not allow to be spent. So we've seen the impact of that this year, and we're continuing to go with that rotation. So the district calculation, It's off of 5-year attendance, average day attendance, or membership. So as you can see, we go back to 2017, and this is off of last year's student enrollment, 21-22. So you're at 24% of our share for the budget. Go ahead. So the overall increase to our budget is a 4.92%, $378,000. So we're looking at an $8 million budget. Your share here at Pottsgrove is $43,000 increase, or a 2.76% increase to the budget for the Western Center. Any questions, conversation about that?
I had a question where you understood the other slide, one slide back.
Okay?
You said Pottsgrove average is 70, obviously last year 69, 113, 116. And on a slide previous, we had 116 applicants. Springford had 80, and Upper Perkiomen had like 130 or something
Yes.
like that. All right. How do you choose which school gets those spots? Because you said 50 applicants already for cosmetology, and there's only 20 slots. So
Right.
how do you choose that? Because I'm curious of why we're not gaining, but we're sending more applicants.
Right. So here's the answer to that. In our articles of agreement, there was no slots allotted for the districts. So Pottsgrove doesn't get 5 slots, Upper Perk doesn't get 5. There's no rhyme or reason in our agreement that says you get this many slots. We believe it shouldn't be by the zip code. So what we put into place last year is a rubric. So that scoring rubric looks at attendance, grades, and discipline this year. So we added discipline. So it's the best kids getting in off of that rubric. There's some interest statements and a couple other things that go into that. So we don't look at Upper Perk or Pottsgrove. It just happened to be, in the last 2 years, Upper Perk has actually went up and Springford has decreased with our enrollment in our building. So it's all off rubric scoring for the students to get in.
And the board get the rubric?
Yes.
Thank you.
And to that point, tomorrow we're meeting with the principals and counselors. So this was something vetted by the principals and counselors, then went to the superintendents. So everyone saw it. We're going to actually score an application right in front of the principals and counselors so they can see. We don't look at IEPs, we don't look at economic disadvantage, we don't look at any of that. Grades, attendance, and discipline are our 3 main factors
Of that particular student.
of that student, and that's all students.
So if a student is stronger, let's just say grade-wise, is stronger in one school, and then no discipline issues, no attendance issues, and the other student is the exact same but weaker grades, they're out.
Pretty much. And
Springford's always, and Upper Perk are always gonna have an advantage over a lot of our students. They have higher scores.
so you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
so we did look at that one. We've been having meetings with the principals about this since the end of enrollment last year. And one of the things we talked about was we need to provide opportunities for students whose grades may not be where they need to be, or maybe they had some type of attendance issue. So we provide opportunity for points for a letter of recommendation or a counselor recommendation as well. So some of the students that have, they may be, notched down a point or 2 here, they can gain points back, so that's a bonus point for those 2 items. We looked at also if you participated in a tour, if you came out to our school for an open house, or skills or a stereotype. So we put that out there, and through the conversations in those meetings, it was found that it wouldn't be equitable because some students we have transportation out there where some students wouldn't, so they would get a point. So this year we put those 2 points in there to assist students for just that scenario you're talking about.
Okay.
And when we're looking at grades, we try to come up with a common 4.0 scale. So we don't take the weight of we try to base it on a 4.0 scale. So we're taking all objectivity out of it. We want to have the true evidence and data in front of us and look at the scores that they have and to add those students. I don't care where they're coming from. I really don't, and I don't think that's a practice we should get into. I think it should be the best kids, because what we're seeing is happening is those companies coming out to us, they're looking for us to give them a good quality product. And if we start giving that product that isn't a good quality, they're not coming back to hire our students. So being more competitive has actually led to higher job placement, because they now know that the Western Center is providing us students that can compete with their employees. And we're using it too, I could talk all night about this too, but we're using it too for the middle school. You know, we look at their first marking period, first semester grades, first semester discipline. It's not a full year, it's that first semester. So hopefully the message is getting to the middle school students that you better straighten up and do what's right, because now the time counts. If you want to go to the Western Center, it counts in 8th grade, not 9th grade, it counts in 8th grade. So hopefully that curtails some of that discipline, early adolescence nonsense that occurs at the middle schools to, you know, say this is valuable. If you want a job that pays $50,000 when you graduate, you better straighten up in 8th grade.
So you look at the first quarter of the 8th grade transcript, and when do students in 8th grade actually tour the Western Center? Is it prior to, I mean, because if they're going after you
Yeah,
base that grade, then it, you know, it's a bit too late for them if they've decided.
Yeah, the middle school toured back in November, so they had an opportunity during the first quarter. to do
Okay,
so,
all right,
yeah.
great, all right, thank you.
and it's first and second quarter.
Yeah, first and
Oh,
second
I'm
quarter.
sorry, this is the first.
No,
Okay.
Yeah,
first and second.
so first semester.
First semester.
Well,
Yep.
we say it differently, so, yeah, first and second quarter.
Got it, thank you.
And I just want to add one thing, that the way it works sometimes, if you have a student that would like to have a personal tour, that's all they need to do is go to their counselor at Pottsgrove and say this is what they like to do, so it's an unexcused absence. And then they can get the personal tour from our director and principal. So if they really want to know, they want to do culinary, but they're not sure because they had a whole crowd they went with, they actually will do that for the students.
And this is something that, you know, when Dr. Finnerty came in, he saw the numbers and he wanted it to change. So he made and I thank him for this, from that opt-out to opt-in versus opt-out, he made that change. And it is shown this year with applications. You guys have more applications than Springford.
Thank you for thanking me. Technically, it's Dr. Gonzalez who made that change.
Well, thank you.
And one last quick thing, for any program that has available seats, the rubric scale is only when there is more applicants than seats.
Right,
So,
that's what's happening.
correct. Correct, so it's not a thing that they would not get a seat. If there's an open seat, a student's gonna get it.
So, and with that, we had this practice of asking the student to go on a wait list. We've eliminated that wait list procedure, and any student that applies automatically goes on a wait list. So if a seat opens, we go to the next best kid. Hey, do they want to come to the Western Center? We plug them in.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm confused, maybe a little bit. You were started at 728, and you're down to 645, so that's an 83 drop.
Yes.
Why wasn't it refilled by people that don't?
Because we had, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so that's why we made that change to the wait list. So when we came in, basically, you would have to almost reapply again to get on a wait list. So in that transition, you applied once, and then what would happen is we would send you a letter, hey, you didn't get in, please reapply to a wait list if you would like to still be on a wait list. Well, what happens is a lot of students would not reapply, so the list became very small. So any student that did apply, they would automatically, as soon as the seat opened, we would contact them. As well as work with all the counselors from your district as in the other districts when they'd have a student that say, hey, you know what, I thought about it and I didn't really apply, but I want to get in now. Okay, boom. We've enrolled students all year long for whenever there's an open seat and interest of a student. But I really think by dialing in those wait lists, so wherever the number stops for the enrollment, that's where the wait list starts, and then we'll just call them. It'll allow us to get to these students a lot easier than it was before.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had one comment.
Our budget for Pottsgrove, the way I was kind of fiddling around with some numbers, is it would be a 0.06 for us?
Yeah, from looking at last year's, what was budgeted, so the overall increase for your budget to us would be a 0.06% increase.
Okay. That's what I thought. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
We will stick around if you have any questions for after the meeting. That's the longest part of your meeting, too. I know that.
Thank you both very much. You guys are doing a great job. All right, we're going to move on to student board report. After all that.
Good evening, everyone. We've just recently begun our spring sports, and we're also happy to be back. Well, we were supposed to have a girls lacrosse game tonight. It was supposed to be our first one, but because it was basically snowing and it was very windy out, our coaches decided to cancel it. But it was just a scrimmage, so it was okay. It didn't affect our season. Regardless, we're also happy to be back, and we also wanted to give a huge congratulations to everyone who had art in our school's art show. The art was just incredible, and a lot of it was moving, and it was great. And another shout out to everyone involved in the production of the musical, which turned out great. It was a beautiful musical. It was hilarious, and every part of it was great. And congratulations, everyone. Now on to Emily.
Okay, so as as we move toward tests and including keystones and SATs, the high school is still trying to keep some positive and fun things happening here. So to start off, immunology classes have had their second coffee house of the year last Friday, and all the performers were great. There were jugglers, singers, and it was just a great event for everyone to experience. NHS also has been working hard on their annual volleyball tournament this year. It's always a fun event for both students and teachers, and this year the tournament, I'm pretty sure, features a teacher team, so it would be super fun to come out and watch. It's $2 for spectators, so come out, have some fun, and support your friends on this Thursday, which is in 2 days, so if you want to come out, it'd be super fun. And then the last thing upcoming is the school is the Spring Festival. This is run by NHS and Spark the Wave, and it's open to all elementary school students, and we put flyers up in the elementary schools, I believe, already. If not, we will be doing that. And there'll be games, crafts, photo booths, and more activities. It's a great way to get out and have some fun, and in hopes to see you all there.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. I have a couple things tonight. First, we are in the middle of our Spread the Word inclusion campaign. Falcon Friends, led by advisor Melissa DiStefano, will be running the Spread the Word inclusion campaign this month. The campaign was first founded by 2 youth leaders in 2009 with the support of Special Olympics and Best Buddies. Pottsgrove High School's Falcon Friends Club has participated in this event since 2013. The campaign focuses on the creation of a new reality, inclusion for all people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The global engagement campaign remains committed to empowering grassroots leaders to change their communities, schools, and workplaces, now through a call to their peers to take action for inclusion. And there really are so many ways to spread inclusion, and we encourage school members and community members and staff to take the pledge to make inclusion a reality for all people with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities. Personally, I have a couple of touch points on this. One, we just recently wrapped up a meeting with our parent advisory and DEI committee, and one of the activities that we did was we were looking at the student survey data, and that was from the lower, middle, and high school. And one of the things that kind of stood out to a lot of groups looking at the data is kids being nicer to kids. So you guys in your surveys kind of identified that you could be nicer, and this is a great opportunity to kind of spread positive feelings. And personally, I have participated in Best Buddies for, I don't know, I have a niece who has Downs, and she is actually graduating this year, so I've been participating with that group for a long time, so I'm real proud of the actions that are going on at the high school and across the district. And lastly, just a quick shout out. You mentioned the high school musical, which was fantastic. This Friday, Saturday, no, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yes, we have SpongeBob the Musical, and that's happening at our middle school, and the middle school theater is fantastic as well. So please come out and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finnerty. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. I need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, the approval of minutes, that we approve 7.1 and 7.2.
I have a motion and a second to approve both of the minutes. Do I have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. We're going to move on to the receiving of the accounts.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the high school, middle school, and cafeterias accounts as presented.
I have a motion and a second to approve the receiving of the accounts. Anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Move on to granting of the orders.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve payments of invoices in the amount of $1,483,378.69 for February 2023 as presented.
A motion and a second to approve the paying of our bills. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Treasurer's report.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report for February 2023 and file it for audit.
A motion and a second for the treasury report. Do we have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Move on to action items personnel.
Under personnel, I would like to make a motion, we approve 11.1 through 11.9.
I have a motion and a second to approve all action items under personnel, 11.1 through 11.9. Does anybody have any comments or questions on any of the individuals?
I just have one comment. I'd like to thank Jeff Erb, who's been our assistant boys soccer coach since 2006 when my son was playing goalie over here and he decided to go on to different things because his kids are all growing up. So I would like to thank Jeff and wish him the best.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. We move on to action items business.
I'd like to make a motion, action items business, we approve 12.1 and 12.2.
I have a motion and a second to approve both items under the action item business. Anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion passes. Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Move on to action items education.
I'd like to make a motion, action items under education, that we approve 13.1 and 13.2.
I have a motion and a second to approve both items under action under education. Have any comments or questions on those? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, repeat. Motion passes. Move on to action on this policy.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve policies 14.1.
Motion and a second to approve the three policies as listed. Anybody have any comments or questions on those three policies? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Move on to, what we got? MCIU board update.
That's me. Hold on. Find it here. My apologies. Not prepared.
You want me to come back to you?
Yeah, I'm pretty
We're gonna
sure I got the update.
Skip for a second. We're going to 16.1 JOC meeting update.
Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the meeting, so Joe and Jay attended, and Jay is going to report out.
The Joint Operating Committee met on Monday, March 6th. The bulk of the meeting was spent on looking at the agenda for the Western Montgomery Career and Technical Center for next year, which we heard a presentation on tonight from the Administrative Director, Dave, and his staff. He's also presenting that budget to Upper Perkiomen Board of Directors, I believe on March 23rd, and to the Springford Board of Directors on March 27th. So we heard that. On Thursday, March 2nd, the Western Center presented a Skills Over Stereotypes program, and students who attend are from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and they get to pick two of the programs that are offered there at the center. Originally, the title was given Skills Over Stereotypes because the push was to get non-traditional students into different programs. As Dave mentioned, females usually go for sports medicine, males for welding and things like that, so they were trying to reverse that and get it in. It has since been opened up to all students, not just non-traditional. 70 students attended on Thursday, March 7th, and Pottsgrove had 21 of those 70 students in attendance. From what I hear, it went very well. Dave, staff, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that with Skills Over Stereotypes.
Yeah, there was a lot of students that showed a lot of interest, and with those 70 students that actually spent the time in the programs, it was a great way for them to really understand what goes on in those programs. And the feedback that I received from the teachers were, majority of the students, I feel like they're on the hook for the program. They want to be in the program. So I think it was a really impactful event for us.
Good. Thank you, Mark. The Western Center is doing some good advocacy work. Three things in particular that were mentioned at the meeting. The center's automotive instructor, Don Bray, was invited to attend the Tuesday, March 7 Governor's Address and Reception representing the Pennsylvania Association for Career and Technical Education, also called PACTA, for Tina, who likes acronyms. The president of PACTA usually does that representation. He was not able to attend, or she, I'm not sure, and Mr. Bray was asked to take his place. So it's nice that someone came to, a member of the Western Center, to go to the governor's address and reception, which I said was on Tuesday, March 7th. Today, the group at the center had Pennsylvania Senator Katie Muth visiting the Western Center, and you gave her a tour. Not sure if there's anything there, Dave, or group want to add on that tour.
So the senator spent 2 hours with us this afternoon, and I like to get them in the building to see what they can do for us. So they have, the senators, especially Senator Mensch, was a huge supporter of ours. So they have like this discretionary fund. I try for that money every year, so that's about $200,000. So we were butting her. She toured, she talked, heard about our concerns with certification, budget line items, so on and so forth. But she was really into what we were doing, and is to be a huge supporter of us. So now in this area is Senator Pennychuck, and she'll be touring later in the spring, hopefully.
Yep. And on Friday, March 17th, they also have lined up a tour with Pennsylvania Representative Donna Schruren, who's going to be visiting the center, which is coming up.
Yeah, so, I mean, our politicians are great, and CTE's hot, and Harrisburg wants to support CTE, so I need to get them in the building to show them what we have and advocate for us.
So the update for us was to show the advocacy work that's going on at the center, which is a potential source of revenue for what's going on. Last Thursday, March 9, the Western Center culinary staff and students prepared and served another one of their community dinners. The focus of this dinner was Pennsylvania Dutch. Denise and I went. Food was marvelous, as it usually is, and both their 4:30 and 6 o'clock seatings were sold out. The next community dinner is Thursday, May 4, and it's their Cinco de Mayo dinner. I know the 6 o'clock seating is already sold out. I think there's some seats left for 4:30. I'd really recommend that you go if you've not done that. You just get to meet some of the students who wait on you. I just have a great time. This is the third dinner I went to. The food is good, but the conversation is as good. Next week, March 20 to 23, Dave is going to be attending the Pennsylvania Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, TINA, also called FCCLA, conference at Seven Springs. Thank you. The Western Center is also hosting a Perkins Regional Workshop that the Pennsylvania Department of Education asked Dave and his staff to host on Thursday, March 30th. Workshop is for career and technical education directors and principals. The purpose of the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Improvement Act of 2006 is to more fully develop the academic and career and technical skills of technical education students and post-secondary education students who elect to enroll in career and technical education. So Perkins becomes a source of revenue also to support the program.
Yeah, so we receive about $143,000 of Perkins funding a year. It usually increases every year. So this is a regional workshop we all have to attend in the state. So the East region is being hosted at our school.
And then lastly, the Personnel Committee of the Joint Operating Committee at the Western Center is working with Alan Roche, who's Superintendent of Record for the center, and with Dave to create an Act 93 agreement for two of the administrators, Mark, the principal, and Chad, Director of Facilities, who are both here tonight. That's not been in place before, and we're working to do that. So I think that represents what we did at the board meeting, unless there's any questions. You got the acronyms.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Jay. We're going to come back to,
I would just like to add before we close up here, I would just like to personally thank you guys for all you do. I've been involved in the Western Center for a long time, and I just love going there, seeing the energy, seeing the kids being successful, and you do everything you can to get the money, to defray the costs, to get the grants, and even selling stuff that we found out we had a shed full of. So I just thank you guys very much. You do an outstanding job, and I'm very proud of you.
thank you very much. All right, we're going to move back to Ashley.
If you can put me on the agenda for next time, they have not sent out the
right, so
the
we'll-
overview.
we have
That
to table
that would
that, or
explain it, huh? They did send out other communications. Yeah.
All right, well, just
And
information, so we're just going to
from
move
here on
it.
out, because it is usually a couple weeks behind. So if I could do this.
Make it the second
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
You got it. All right, so we're going to move on to committee items. Item 17.1 is minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion under 17 committee items to approve 17.1 and 17.2.
I have a motion, a second, to approve both the minutes for the operations and curriculum. Have any questions or comments on those? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to policy committee.
Give me a second to get a swig of water here. All right, we had three policies this past meeting, one of which was new, two that were revised. The first one, which was new, was on memorials. Like I said, it was new, so we started from scratch with this. Dr. Lucas started from scratch, I should say. We just came along for the ride and went through and tried to make it as clear as possible for when any member of the community feels moved to do some sort of memorial. If you go on to look at the 30-day policy, you can see that there's a list of items that are not acceptable as well as items that are acceptable to different types of memorials. Basically, we're trying to shy away from permanent memorials since that sort of involves physically moving them as buildings change and times change. So that was for that one. And then the next two, eligibility of non-resident students. That was updated. We spoke last time around about changes to policies for educational instability. For the non-residents, the requirements, they expanded the requirements for immediate admittance for students that are experiencing foster care and other forms of educational instability. The last one was dress and grooming, policy 221. I'm going to read the sentence here because I thought it says it succinctly. A statement directing staff to waive penalties related to a delay in student compliance with board policy and school rules for dress and grooming due to a student's educational instability has been added to this policy. And that's basically what we did, so that whenever students are experiencing educational instability, there will be lenience given for, understanding given for any issues that evolve because of noncompliance with dress and grooming. But then during that, we also spoke about the fact for a need to have a dress code that would be across the district, understanding that it would be different for elementary schools in the sense of the way, certain things obviously don't apply, but to make something that was consistent across the whole district. And from what I understand, that is going to be a task that you're tackling this summer. So And that's it for this time around with policy. See you next month.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that? All right, we're going to move on to new business. Dr. Finnerty, you're up.
Nothing this
Tina?
evening.
I just always defer to Lily and Emily to see how's school gone.
I'm good. I just started unified track, but I have my SAT next Wednesday, so working on that. But I had prep classes, so we're good. But yeah, other than that, it's good. I want it to be warm because this weather is not it for me. Because once it gets warm, I'll see summer. So yeah, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I've been good. I've just been busy as a senior, just trying to finish out the year, but it's exciting busy, so I'm happy about it.
As always, thank you for sharing. Appreciate it.
I have a quick question before I'm going to move on, but I'm curious, because you mentioned the SAT and your prep classes like that. How often are the students, juniors, sophomores, seniors, involved with the ACT?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what that is, but I know students that take it know a lot about it before they take it. I just don't know anything about it. So probably the answer to your question is we don't know. That's probably a more accurate answer.
On our part. What I have found, and I can't say for obviously for everybody, all right, that a lot of the programs that we have in-house gear a lot towards the ACT. The SAT obviously is much more reading and English based, and the ACT is much more based off of science and different things like that. And we have a lot of students here that would do very well on the ACT, which actually don't know if it's still needed anymore, the ACT and the SAT. I'm guessing yes, but.
A lot of them are optional.
Okay, because of the COVID, and I think things have changed. But if we're not informing the students of all of their options, especially a test that may be better for them, then that's a mistake and a failure on ours, and we're going to have to alleviate that.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I think if students who, if they knew about it, they would probably take it if they knew it would benefit them. But I just don't think students know, like they push the SAT, I would say, a lot more than the ACT. So I feel like if they were pushed the same, you'd probably get more students, but yeah.
Now, both of my kids took the ACTs instead of the SATs.
Both of mine did as well.
Yeah.
But I
and-
knew about it.
Right, exactly. We knew about it, and we knew the benefits of it. And, yeah, there wasn't much information at all given in the high school about it. And
That's
think there
something I
should
will
be
ask the
because-
administration to
yeah,
put that out a little.
because I know there's no no ACT prep classes, none.
So I absolutely hear the direction. We'll make sure that we address that with students. I did just, again, kind of personal vignette. In my previous district, we had looked at how students do, because we did the pre-SAT, which is a PSAT, and also pre-ACT. And what we found is it was about a third, a third, a third. So about a third of the kids did better on ACT, about a third of the kids did better on SAT, and about a third of them, it didn't matter. They did about the same on both of them. So it is definitely a valuable thing, and we'll make sure that we message on that. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to Patty then.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the Western Center again for coming here. We were always going there, but they don't always get a chance to come here, but thank you again for coming here. And we found out at the Western Center a couple weeks ago that we have $170,000 that's going to be returned in surplus to Pottsgrove. So next month, I would like to have it on the agenda for approval because I would like to earmark that money to put aside for the Western Center. And because they're going to come back with us, or I'm going to come back to Pottsgrove because we have some maintenance and some upgrades and nothing's really been done since the renovation, 2010? So the board members, the JOC members, we have taken tours after our meetings and looked at all of the different things that need to be done. And this is where it kind of is hard because we don't have a capital fund. that we can put any money. Their budget's their budget, whatever they don't go, it's divided and it comes back to the school. Now, with that said, I will tell you, Springford already earmarked it, their money. So they're not gonna have to come back, and hopefully, we won't have to come back with any additional money. But I would just like to put that on the agenda so we can earmark that aside and we can use it for repairs at the Western Center.
As a discussion item first.
Exactly.
Okay, as long as it's a discussion item, I don't want to put anything out to have to vote immediately on.
No.
All right, discussion item is fine and dandy. You guys can handle that part.
Yes.
Up to you, Jay.
I usually don't talk, it's a kind of a personal issue for me. Lily mentioned anything goes, and my wife and I had the opportunity to be there on nights 1 and nights 3, and it was just, I agree, it was marvelous. The work that our staff, in terms of choreography and staging and just getting the students ready, the work that they did was fantastic. The students was even better in terms of performing, the singing and the dancing and everything. Here's the stick. On night 1, the microphones failed badly, and they always failed at the biggest number of the students that were doing it, the main numbers. I thought that would get corrected. On night 3, it failed worse. That failure, and I speak from having played in a band for a good 15 years of my life and knowing how important a good PA system is to the quality of the work that goes on, it was a disservice to the students. I don't know how many people saw that, but you have students here who have worked for 6 months trying to master the choreography and the stuff that they're doing, and a lot's been said well about it. The microphones were horrible. I have talked with the staff that involved that. They know that they're bad, and there's nothing, they don't know what to do about it because of the cost involved. So I don't know if we can do anything as a board, but I'd really like to advocate for that club either renting or getting equipment that when they perform, the quality of what they're doing is amplified by the microphone system, not detracted because of it. I felt so bad for the kids on stage who are seniors, have spent 6 months of their life getting ready to do this performance, and then for an entire number, their big number of the night, their song and dance number, the mic goes out. There has to be a way to correct that, so that it doesn't happen in the future. And I was told from people that were there on night 2, there were also microphone failures on night 2. I'd like to see us as a board do something, whether it's a grant or something, to try and get them the equipment that they need to make the performance be the very best it can be. Lily, you're nodding your head as you saw, so you've heard the same thing.
Yeah, I was there on night 3, and I hadn't seen it any other night, so I didn't know if it was a part of the show or not, but this whole number, you couldn't hear anything that one of them was singing, and I looked at my friends, and I was like, I don't think that's supposed to be happening. And it didn't take away from the overall performance, but I felt bad that they couldn't sing to their full potential, and they had to scream to the audience instead.
It'd be nice to hear a report from the people involved with some recommendations. I don't know if they could put something together, the director who worked on that and that, to say what is it they need to make this be the best that it can be.
And I was just saying, one thing I'd say is, it wasn't just the musical this year. It's been an ongoing for every musical, middle school and high school that I've been to, that a microphone and it goes out or something, there's some issue with the microphone at some point during it, so that and in some cases it's been that they had just enough microphones for the leads, but not for the ensemble. So if there was somebody in an ensemble that had a 1 or 2 line that was sort of, a critical humor type line, you might not hear it all that well if you were in the back of the middle school or in the high school. So
What do we have left for that group going forward this school year? Besides, obviously, the SpongeBob, which is over at middle school. Do we have anything for that group this year?
I don't know what part that, I don't know if that's part of the musical, the orchestra, the choir or not, but or if that's a separate item.
The reason why I asked was because what we could do is put that as new business on the facilities. That would, to me, depending on the cost, would be perfectly earmarked for a Market Street fund, which is exactly why we created the Market Street, to do one-time costs for our extracurricular activity, whether it be sports or whether it be the music and such like that.
Maybe
So,
12 hours into the
depending on, obviously, we're in budget season, so that's why I asked if they have to get it right on the schedule. But if they don't, we can see about getting that on the schedule for facilities before the end of the year, so we can see if we can get it purchased, so they have it for the next event.
We also have a Ed Foundation meeting Monday, and through the EITC grants, we've actually been supporting the music program as well. In fact, this year, I think we supported a pretty significant increase on PA system, I believe, is what we actually were working on. But that's something that I can bring up at that meeting and see if there's additional resources, because as you may know, the Ed Foundation funds, because of how they're received, which is EITC, they have to be allocated to STEM, the arts, and there's a third thing, and I forget. Yeah, it's my memory shot on that. So that could be another resource that we can explore.
Perfect. It's nice to hear, and while I've not been to a middle school performance lately, I'm told their microphone system is worse than the high school microphone system in terms of that. I don't know if they use the same one or a different one, but I hear that's bad too, for what it's worth.
And that being said, although maybe this is what you're going to touch on, like you were saying about speaking to the staff, but I would almost feel better having somebody that's their business come in and look at both of the auditoriums and say, this is really what's going to be work best for you. For, you have a live pit orchestra, you've got this, you really should be looking at these, not these. So.
I was going to say, just to set expectations, if you're not the NFL, you're very limited in the number of wireless microphones that you can operate. And that number keeps shrinking. So, it's just a constraint. Okay, Broadway and the NFL can pretty much get away with murder. They use TV licenses. A school can't do that. So, I mean, there are limits to what you can do for sound reinforcement.
Yeah, I agree. The ones that failed were all wireless.
Oh,
It wasn't the ones hanging from the ceiling. It wasn't the ensemble.
Well, those aren't going to be
mics.
very effective. I mean, the only ones that are really going to work is something that's very close to the actor or actress's mouth, and that's a wireless. You can put them on the floor, and you can pick up some of the speech, and you can hang them overhead, and you can pick up some of the speech. But, yeah, all the leads are going to need a personal microphone, and in a lot of theaters, you end up swapping. When, lead A walks off stage, they hand the microphone to lead B, because it's the only way you can make it work.
They need to make it work.
Yeah, well, again, just setting expectations. There are limits.
This is your area.
That's your area.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I'm not volunteering.
He's sort of an expert in the area, so.
I was going to write you down as the consultant.
All right, I'm going to move on to Joe. Dr. Nippert?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I want to thank the most wonderful and patient person in the world. Tonight's my wife's birthday. But here I am at a school board meeting. Now, only an engineer would remember his wife's birthday is Pi Day, March 14th, 314, the value of pi. Only an engineer would remember that his wife's birthday is Pi Day and come to a meeting. I also attended Thursday's performance. I'm a witness to the fact that the mics weren't working on day 2. My message, however, is a little bit more encouraging. I know the mics are bad. We've already discussed that. Whatever can be done should be done. But I also noticed something about the singers. A couple of the singers I noticed started singing louder, apparently to compensate for the fact that there was no mic. And this was, in a larger sense, a teachable moment. This is what happens in the real world. You plan, you practice, you work hard, you change the corrections like those singers, and you go on, and you had a very good and excellent performance. And that's the message that we need to take. So this was an excellent, it's an example of what people do. They plan, they adjust, they make adjustments, and they go on and have a success. And that's what this play was, a success. My last comment goes to, I met Patty at the Pennsylvania German dinner. My apologies to the German teacher and to those from Berks County, because I don't have their accent. But my comment is, Max gut, sehr gut, nix besser. And if you know
In
what
English?
I said, okay. She remembers what it was. Okay, that's my comment.
All right, I'm gonna move around. Jim? Bill? Ashley? I only have one comment. It goes back to my meeting prior. We actually got the list. Is the list still the same for who's running? I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. Unfortunately, we did not have many people put out. I don't know what I have to do to try to get more people involved. But I do want to commend the one extra individual. Yeah, we get paid. I'm for that. I would do that. More snacks, Rolos.
There you go.
I do want to, though, say thank you to, there is one additional individual that put her name out. So when you'll all see everything officially, I assume that she's still going to be here. And she will be sitting on the board because we're only going to have 5. So she will be here. So I do commend her for putting her time and effort up there. Plus, I also commend the other 4 individuals sitting on this board who said we're going to do another session. So congratulations to all of you already. I don't even have to, I already know who's going to win. So thank you very much for that. We have one public comment, Brianna Robinson. Come on down. Brianna Robinson.
Brianna Robinson. I'm a teacher at Rocks and a resident of Lower Pottsgrove. I have lived in Pottsgrove for 30 years, and my children went through Pottsgrove schools. I chose to work at Pottsgrove because I believe strongly in giving back to my community. Here and across the country, school districts are struggling with behaviors and mental health issues. This is not something unique to Pottsgrove. My concern is that children are supposed to go to school to be educated. Teachers are supposed to be able to educate their children. Every child in our community has a right to an education. In order to educate our children, their mental health needs must be met, and children must feel safe in that classroom. Both of these things are required for education to be accessible. According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, as of May of 2022, 70% of districts in our country have had an increase in mental health issues in students since the start of COVID. And 76% of schools reported an increase of staff reporting that there is an increase of students showing depression, anxiety, and trauma. I know it's budget time, and I know our district is notorious for a little to no tax increase. However, I am also aware that we pay $3.1 million a year in charter school payments. My concern is that more families will leave our schools and enroll in charter schools, increasing that cost if we don't address these concerns. I am here to offer some suggestions. I know that a local district is doubling their counselors. We should also consider vice principals in our schools. I believe that smaller class sizes would also provide a safer environment for learning. I am fully aware that every solution I'm giving requires money, and we are repeatedly told that this is not an option. I am willing to bet that many families would rather see their taxes increase and know that their children are safer, healthier, and receiving the education they are entitled to, rather than keep going down the current path with the same concerns repeating year after year. I myself have had numerous conversations with parents who are discussing leaving the district and going to charter schools because of these reasons. I know it's difficult to truly understand what is happening in schools without being in there and having children in them. I encourage each and every one of you to take the time out and come into these schools for a day and see what is going on in our buildings every single day. If you see what's happening in our school, maybe you'll understand the need to invest more money into educating our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else live for any public comment? Anybody online for any public comment? All right, then I need a motion to adjourn. A motion second. Motion carries. See you guys in 2 weeks.